being late. I've just been cleaning up a very painty toddler and myself. We are both covered in paint. Hello everyone. Apologies for being late. I've just been clearing up a very painty toddler, haven't I? Yes. You were painty and you got me painty and your high chair is very painty. Yes. Welcome to Parenting with a Disability. Okay, so I'm Tania, for those of you who don't know me. My blog is When Tania Talks. I'm also an accessibility consultant, doing some work within the rail industry and also within, what's it called? Within parenting services with my partner, who is Brianna from Happy Sling Lady. What else do I do? I'm also a baby wearing educator. And it's been one of those days today. My words are not doing so well, so bear with me. I can see comments down the side, so if you have any questions, stick them in and I will do my best to answer as many as possible live, and where I can't, I will make sure I come back and answer things in the comments. So you've just seen Elise. She's my 2-year-old. She was 2 in March. A very brief bit about me, if you don't know me in terms of disability. I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user. I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I also haven't said I'm one of the editors on Review My Wheelchair. I have proprioception difficulties with my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so I don't know where my kind of body is in time and space. A visual processing disorder. I'm photosensitive with complex migraine. And I've said the other bits. I have notes because my memory at the moment is not doing so well. We're out in the garden in the hope that someone is going to wear herself out. We've had a challenging couple of days because it's been raining and Elise is very active and wants to go out and she can't. My mind is going blank. Notes. So we're going to start by talking about things to consider when you're in the process of preparing to have a child, whether that's as a parent yourself, sort of biologically, or whether you're adopting, fostering, things like that. Then we're going to go on to a quick talk about slings and how slings can support people with as an aid. Then we're going to talk specifically about mobility aids and some considerations with those and potential changes you might want to make, and thinking about as they grow up, children grow up. Words. Sorry, my brain is so tired. Okay, so in terms of thinking about bringing a newborn baby home, with a disability, everyone has a lot to think about. But when you've got a disability, there are additional things you have to think of. So where are you going to be changing your baby? Where is safest and most convenient for you, depending on your disability? So if you've got a visual impairment, you might not feel that putting a baby on a changing table is safe if you can't necessarily see them or how far they are from the edge. If you're a wheelchair user, you might feel that the changing table height is too high for you, or you might want to look into getting a changing table that is lower down so that you can access it. If your partner is not disabled or you're on your own, you might want to think about how any changes that you make to your setting may need to be different for the other person who is involved with you. It's going to start raining, so I need to head inside. Lissy, can you come in with me, please, darling? I was in the desperate hope we were going to be able to stay outside. Yeah. Let's close the kitchen door. I don't mind if Lissy gets wet, but I don't want technology to get wet. Lissy has boots on and coat on. She's all good. Okay, so where is the safest place to do things like changing your baby? How will you get them to the place you're going to change them, and how will you get them off? And what supplies do you need to have close? Because if you're going to change your baby, you don't then want to have to either put them down to get all the things that you need, or get to where you're going to change them and then think, hang on a minute, the nappies are over there and the wipes are over there, and I've got this baby that I've got to keep safe while I navigate all the things. So what we did is, because we are, annoyingly for an ambulatory wheelchair user, we're on 3 floors. We moved in before we knew that I had any kind of joint issues. I'm being called from the garden. Well done, you got stuck. Excellent. You can unstick yourself, it's fine. Actually, I don't think she can unstick herself from that. Please don't do that again. That was not sensible.
Hi, Mum.
Can you say hi to everyone else? Say hi. No, not today. Okay. There we go. Oh. So what we did in terms of changing, because we're on 3 floors, and there was no way I was going to be able to kind of up and down the stairs with a newborn, particularly as I'd had a cesarean. So we had a changing station on every floor, so that whichever floor I was on, I could access everything that I needed to quickly and safely without having to move out of the room, the main room that we were in. Oh, coffee time. So that can be a consideration. For downstairs, we now just leave the changing bag to hand. But previously, in our changing stations, we'd have the changing mat, we'd have several nappies, bags, wipes. We'd also have a change of clothes, an entire full set of clothes. Sometimes 2, but at a minimum we'd have 1. Elise is still a cow's milk protein allergy, and there was a lot of vomiting going on. So I needed to be able to get to clothes, even when I didn't necessarily need to get to nappies.
Mum.
Yes, darling. What's that, sweetheart? You would like a biscuit?
Yes.
Come on then. You going to come in and say hello to everyone?
No.
No? You would like a biscuit? Had you asked nicely?
Please.
Good girl. I fear we might not get through everything, but I will do my best. I'm going to do it, darling. Just a minute. Oh. I was going to be on my phone for this, because I thought then if she needs me, I can get up and down easily. And then I thought, no, it will be fine, and I can't hold my phone for that long. And now I'm wandering around with a laptop instead. Right, can you say thank you, please?
No. Hi.
No, we're not doing one for each hand. Eat that one, and then you can have another one. Sweetheart, come on. Come for a cuddle. If you eat that biscuit, you can have another one. But we're not doing one for each hand. Okay, so that's changing. And that's kind of the thing you need to do with every aspect of having a baby, which can be hard when you've not had one and don't have that experience. But if you're doing a little bit of research into having a newborn, you can make a list of all of the different things that people talk about and then think, I'm going to need to do this aspect, or I'm going to need help with this aspect. How am I going to make that happen? Feeding baby. Whether you are assuming mother, whether you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding, you need to think about, do you have the ability to hold your baby while you're feeding? Do you need some kind of support? That could be because of reduced muscle strength, hyperflexible joints, could be through fatigue. You may need something to kind of prop your arm up on. There are loads of pillows that a lot of women and feeding parents use. That can be bottle as well because of holding the angle of the baby. In terms of breastfeeding specifically, have you got the strength to move baby when they need to latch? Have you got the vision to be able to position them in the right place? Is that something you need any help with? What kind of help is available? In addition, making up bottles. Sorry, she's still in the kitchen for now. Making up bottles, whether you are making them up for breast milk that has been pumped or whether you're making them up for formula, can you pick up a kettle safely? Can you pour that hot liquid into the bottle? A lot of formula feeding at the moment, you need to tip the boiling water, tip a certain amount of boiling water in, shake it, which sterilises the powder, and then fill it up with cold water so that the temperature is right for the baby to have almost straight away. Problem with that is if you find doing a lid up can be difficult, that's an issue. If shaking it is going to be a problem, that can be something you need to look around alternatives. Using a kettle, being safe with boiling water. There are some machines that can be good, but again, it will depend on your disability, what you need, and also the type of milk that you're preparing for your infant. Pumping can be really useful if you have a condition that affects your energy levels, because it can give an alternative person the option to feed baby while you sleep. Pumping in itself can be exhausting, so it's very much getting, and when I say pumping, I mean breast pumping. It's very much getting the right balance for you. For me, breastfeeding took out too much liquid from my body. I couldn't replenish it quickly enough, and it significantly affected my postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome to the point where I couldn't sit up. So at that point, we made the decision to combination feed, because even when I tried to pump, that was still taking the liquid out of me. So it wasn't so much the breastfeeding itself and the act of breastfeeding was too much for me, but the loss of liquid was. And I think it's worth considering your options before you have a baby in terms of what you're going to do feeding wise, and being open to different options, and then being able to play it by ear. So if you've got your research, you know what you want to do, but you know what you're willing to kind of not compromise, but adapt should the need arise, you can then do that without too much stress, ideally. Certainly less stress than if you hadn't kind of thought that bit through. Not a lot is said about combination feeding. I'm going to leave that there as kind of an open. It is an option, but it's an option you have to actively go looking for information on. So it's worth doing that if you would like to breastfeed but are concerned that your body might not be able to manage it because of your disability and or chronic illness. Moving around with a disability is tricky without a small life that you have to keep safe. Whether that's moving around the house, so getting baby from where you are to your changing station, whether it's moving them from your arms to a feeding position, whether it's moving out and about. There are lots of different things that you can do. I know some people have
have their floor set up or their sofa, so that, for example, if they felt a seizure coming on, they could safely put baby down, alert someone to get help. But even if they became unconscious before that person came to help them, baby would be completely safe. So being able to move baby to that place of safety is really important if that's something that you need to consider with your specific disability. Moving around for me was largely with a wheelchair kind of to consider. My wheelchair is a self-propelled active user wheelchair, which means I need the use of my hands. I do have a smart drive attachment for the chair, but I still need my hands to steer. So for me, using a sling was the ideal solution for getting out and about with my little life that I'd created. I had some difficulty finding the right sling, and there are lots of different things to consider, lots of different options available, and lots of different things to consider. And it's worth noting that what works for one person, even with the same condition, will not necessarily work for someone else. So I know some people who also have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, love a ring sling, which is goes across your body, one shoulder, put baby either centrally or to one side. For me, it was never going to work. I can manage a small demo doll in a ring sling for 5 minutes, and then I'm like, get this thing off me, because it physically hurts my body. We're all different. So if looking into a sling is something that you think is going to benefit you, I would highly recommend reaching out to a sling library or a baby wearing consultant. It can get a bit difficult in terms of accessing these sometimes. I was housebound during pregnancy, so I wasn't able to I wasn't able to get out of the house safely without someone's support. I needed someone to push my wheelchair because I didn't have the smart drive at the time. So for me to be able to independently get out of the house, I needed to be able to wear a release in a sling. But I couldn't get to a sling library. The closest one was 10 miles away, no direct public transport links, and it was I think it was 10 till 12 in the morning, and I couldn't get out of bed that early. My heart rate took ages to kind of stabilize to the point where I could even sit up in the mornings when I was pregnant. So I was never able to get to a sling library. I couldn't access consultants because I didn't have the money to be able to do that. A lot is going on to change that and to make sling libraries more accessible. But if you reach out to someone and they're not able to support you, please keep reaching out to someone. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm about to start my consultancy training, and there are a few other people that if I can't help directly, I can put you in touch with them to hopefully get you the support that you need in a way that is accessible to you in terms of physical accessibility, but also financial accessibility. Words again. Okay, so we talked a little bit about slings. Now we're going to think about mobility aids. Mobility aids is something that not everyone with a disability uses, and that's okay. You don't have to use a mobility aid. They are very much hello. Oh wow, you've got to try. It broke. Did you put that in your mouth? Yeah, because it's very soggy. We have a half-chewed crayon apparently. Lovely. Would you like to come and do some drawing in my book?
No.
No? Okay. And now we're drawing in my book. That's fine. So if you're already a mobility aid user, you may find that you need to tweak your setup. So I already had an active user wheelchair.
Mum,
Yes, darling.
Timmy.
What's that, sweetheart?
Timmy.
You'd like to watch Timmy? Okay, Mummy has 5 more minutes of this video. Can we do that, and then we'll go and have a cuddle and watch Timmy? Okay. Okay. So I had an active user wheelchair that was much better than my standard off-the-shelf wheelchair, but I was still struggling a lot with it, and it wasn't suitable for me without a baby in the mix, let alone with. So we fundraised for a smart drive, which allowed me to get out independently, which is absolutely fantastic. It's made such a difference to both of our lives. But in addition to that, I've also got a freewheel. So a freewheel, or RGK do a front wheel. They lift the small caster wheels up off the ground. So that you're drawing circles. Marvellous, all over my notes and all over the specific bit that I've written that I'm just about to talk about. Excellent. Welcome to Parenting with a Disability. Yes, so I got a freewheel that lifts the caster wheels up, makes the grass a lot easier. Whoops! Oh dear. Which was really important for me. My family do a lot of picnics where we're in gardens. So being able to access those independently with a newborn and then a toddler was really important. You might find that if you're a crutch user, that in order to look after a baby in the way that you want to, you might have to think about a wheelchair. You might not want to think about a wheelchair, and that's okay. It's about finding what is going to work for you and your situation. You might want to look at Timmy. We'll go and watch Timmy in a minute. If you're going to, you'd like some milk, okay? If you're going to invest in a new piece of equipment, make sure you think sort of at least 5 years. Careful, darling, careful. At least 5 years. Sorry, we can't have her wandering around with a pen because we'll just draw on everything. Can I have the pen, please? Right, I'm going to finish this sentence and then we're going to say goodbye to everyone. It's nearly time for everyone to stop talking. And I know you want some attention. You can't have the pen, darling. Why don't you have the straw? No, we want the pen and we want some milk. Okay, so yes, very briefly, think about 5 years in advance if you're looking at a different aid or adaptation to your home, because they go through different stages, and every stage brings a new challenge. So it's about thinking one step ahead about what you might need, so that when it comes to it, you can put it in place straight away or as soon as it's possible. Is the straw yucky? Well, don't chew on it then, silly. You're chewing on the straw. So I think the main things if you take away from this would be think about what you need to do. How can you make it as easy as possible, given that little ones, you can't plan for them. They do their own thing in their own time. Reach out to other people who are a step ahead of you. There are some great Instagrammers who share their lives living with a disability. Ask for help and enjoy it, because it is very much worth it. So thank you for having me. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for joining me in my chaos that is toddler life. And I look forward to speaking to some of you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Mommy.
Yes, darling.